Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Hey folks, this is David Ruzicka. You're listening to Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, and today we're talking to a couple who within about 18 months bought 8 doors, single family, and quickly after that bought an apartment complex. They now own about 60 doors total, and they are on their way to financial freedom. And we are here to work on your financial freedom. So glad you're with us today. I'm talking to Corbin and Priscilla Hill. And guys, so glad to have you here on the radio today. I want you to start out, if I can get each of you, we'll start with Priscilla. Just tell us about who you are apart from real estate.
Sure. Thank you for having us, David. I am a mom of 2 little ones. They're 5 and 6. And my original career, my background is in forensic science. So I was a forensic DNA analyst for a long time. And so this was definitely a different direction in a different point that we had in our life to go this way.
And I'm just curious, where did you do that forensic? Was that like with the police department? Are you doing like, what is it, CSI? I'm not sure what the show is.
It's not as glamorous. It was in a laboratory, and yes, there are 3 different labs within the greater Houston area, and I've been able to be a part of 2 of them.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. That's exciting. And Corbin, What about you? Tell us about you.
So my background is in engineering sales. I've been involved with engineered pumps basically my whole career for the last 17 years or so. So graduated from Texas A&M University with an engineering degree and, went into the sales side of the business.
And before you thought about lifestyles or real estate at all, what was your investment strategy? Did you have any kind of end game? Was retirement ever going to happen for you?
Well, really, what our investment strategy consisted of is basically what everybody does. You get a job, you invest in your 401k, you may do a couple stocks here and there outside of that, any additional IRAs, Roth IRA, or anything like that. We were doing all of that, paying down our home. That was our investment strategy.
And so you're just thinking, okay, I'm going to retire at like normal age, whatever that is, 60, 65. That time, right?
Yeah, that was the original thought, right? That was where we were when we were originally brought up, way that our parents did it. So we were basically on that same track, for sure. So
tell me how you found out about lifestyles, and tell me about specifically in that trigger conversation you had with a lady at work.
I've always been interested in additional streams of income. I didn't know what it was. I looked at different options, investing in individual stocks. Was it trying to find a franchise? Was it renting homes? And I think I did a lot of research on my own. I was going on the internet. I was looking at videos. I was reading books. I had heard about lifestyles. I'd come across them in my research. I just wasn't ready to go see them yet. I was skeptical, to be honest. I didn't know if it was something that was going to be beneficial for us at that point. But what happened to me when I was working at a company a few years ago, one of the sales engineers that was part of that company turned in her resignation. And I asked her, why are you leaving? And she says, I don't need to have this job anymore. I was like, well, where are you going? Well, nowhere. We don't need to work anymore.
That's crazy. Who does that?
Yeah, right. And obviously, as being a sales engineer, you're making pretty good amount of money, which is a good sustainable amount of money. So I was very curious. I said, well, what is the avenue that you don't have to work anymore? And she said that she's involved in apartments. And that's where she mentioned that she was part of Lifestyle. So I actually took that to heart, and I said, whoa, I know about Lifestyle, so let me look more into it. And I found out there was a free seminar coming up, and I went home and talked to Priscilla, and I said, hey, let's go check this out. We don't have to do anything. There's no commitment. We just go take a look at it, see what they have to say, and if it doesn't sound good, then we just move on with something else.
Priscilla, you looked at Corbin like he had three heads and came from another planet because you were a little bit skeptical about this.
I was very skeptical. Yes,
tell us why you were a skeptic initially.
Well, I knew that he was excited about something like this. This clearly wasn't my background, but he would tell me about the books he read or the radio shows he were listening to. And so when it came up again to go somewhere and listen, I was like, okay, honey, I'll go with you. But in the back of my mind, it was more of an appeasing him. I was going to be open to it. But I just never thought it would evolve into what it has for us. As Corbin mentioned, my parents worked until my dad retired, and I was just thankful that I had a career that I liked. And if I got to see, I had able to take vacation and yes, I was still asking for sick time and stuff like that, but I had a solid career, so I was thankful for that. I had no idea what would be possible after we went ahead and went to the seminar and then signed up for the 2-day.
That is so amazing to think about because, folks, what we're going to hear more, this couple, their life has changed dramatically over the past couple of years, and they're on their way to being completely financially free. What they started with, you heard that Corbin mentioned it, is that free workshop. And it is actually... Now, Priscilla, it would be much easier for you because you wouldn't even have to leave your house. You could watch it online because we do the free workshops all online now because when we switched to that during COVID. And so, folks, if you're listening, I want you to go to lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com and sign up for one of our free workshops if you've not been. Like I said, it's online. You can watch in your pajamas. The next one that I'm doing is February 17th. That's Thursday at 8:30 Central Time. And you can actually see me, or if that doesn't work for you, go to one of the other ones, attend it online. My teammates do a great job as well. Stay with us through the break. We're going to hear more from Corbin and Priscilla, who are on their way to financial freedom. Hey, folks, this is David Ruzicka. I am your host. You're listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're talking with Priscilla and Corbin. I love this. We're talking to a forensic scientist and an engineer who have transformed their lives, and now they own 60 doors. That's single-family houses and apartment communities, and are on their way to financial freedom. You want to hear their story because what they've done is something that you can do. And so right before the break, Priscilla, we were talking about how you were skeptical, and you went to one of our case studies, and that began to break down the barriers of skepticism for you. What was it that did that for you?
In the case study was really the people that presented that spoke about how they had similar lifestyles beforehand of careers and jobs, battling traffic, very similar to what we were experiencing in our day-to-day lives, and now they weren't. So it very much piqued my interest that this is possible, and that's when we decided then to go on to the 2-day.
To the 2-day, yeah. Great. So you go to the 2-day financial freedom seminar, and that's where it's 16 hours, how to locate, negotiate, rehab, finance, lease, and manage single-family and multifamily properties. You're sitting there, and Priscilla, what was the big aha moment for you as you were there?
For me, it was once the numbers were laid out, because I'm a very analytical person, so it made sense once everything was laid out on paper in the seminar. But then when Dell followed up with, the only thing in the way of a great life is a good life, it struck me because, okay, this makes sense to me, but now are we really going to try and do something about it? Is it important enough to us to make this life change and try something, different than what we have ever thought that we would be doing?
That's great. I love that. The only thing that gets in the way of a great life is a good life. It's very easy just to sit back and relax and everything's okay. We've got our 401k. We'll keep kind of coasting until we reach retirement age, and then we'll retire and hope that we die before we run out of money. So good job on picking that up. And Corbin, for you, during that 2-day financial freedom seminar, what were some big aha moments for you?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I have already been doing a little bit of research, so I always knew I knew that real estate was the path that I wanted to do. And I think the aha moment was, the way it was explained within the 2-day was we could do this. I mean, the way in our financial situation that we were in, at that point in time, we're able to get this started. We're able to start our own business that hopefully can grow large enough to where we can have pass it down to our children at some point. We can get our time back from being in corporate America until we're 65 or whenever we need to retire. Maybe we can accelerate that and start having time between Priscilla and I, time to hang out with our children, because we were seeing that before, where we were going, we're doing the lifestyle of drive to work every morning, hour back, come home, pick up the children, do dinner, clean up, have a little bit of time to play with children, go to bed, get up and do it all over again. So it was a rut. So now with this, what's changed after the 2-day and after we started doing this is that, we've had some of that time back. We've been able to have a little more time between Priscilla and I. We've had more time with our children that we didn't have before.
That's powerful. That is powerful and well worth it. Now, before Lifestyles, you had one rental experience. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so what we had was my original home that I purchased before Priscilla and I were married, and it was a single-family townhome, and Priscilla and I got married, and then we decided, hey, maybe we should just turn this one into a rental property and go purchase a new home. So we did that because we called the realtor, and they said, oh, we can rent it out for this much, and it'll be great. So we said, great. We did that. We purchased a new home, turned it into another rental property, and come to find out, we had some issues with some vacancies that hit us pretty hard. So it was actually outside of the Lifestyles model that they teach us. This is way before we went to the 2-day, and after we went to the 2-day, we said, hey, we need to sell this one and start purchasing the way that it's taught to us through Lifestyles.
Yeah, can you tell us just a couple? I know when I sat through the 2-day, I had a similar situation with a house that I had owned that I'd lived in years before, and I just sat and checked all the boxes. I did this wrong, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, I had no cash flow, all these things that I did wrong with that house, and I should have sold it a lot sooner. What did you notice anything significant items that you were doing incorrectly that you would do different in the future?
Yeah, I think because we turned our original home into a rental property, we didn't go out and buy something that needed work, where we can build in equity, where we can have a larger pool of residents that could rent our property. It was a higher price point that hurt us when we had a vacancy. So I think that was some of the issues that we ran into with that particular property.
Yeah, and for the folks that are listening, what he's talking about is we want that blue collar, right in the middle, largest population of folks to be able to rent the homes that we have. If you get to the high end, you got a smaller pool of potential renters, and if people have that much money, generally they want to buy their own house. At the lower end, you're going to be evicting people all the time. So we want those blue-collar workers who actually during COVID, a lot of them were essential workers, so they were still going to work. They still had jobs. They were able to pay their rent. That is the target that we want. And so that's what Corbin is talking about when he talks about that. Now, you guys bought 8 doors in 18 months. Tell us how you did that. That's fast, by the way, is why I'm saying it.
With the way Lifestyles prevents deals for us, there are always deals coming out, and you have to be quick within the system that we have is the tagging system. So we were going out tagging properties and looking at properties over our lunch breaks and walking properties and doing what we can. And we set our investment goals of what numbers that we were looking for, where we can handle with the funds that we had available to us at the time, and just said, you know what, if we're going to do this, we're just going to go out and really do this. So that's what we did. We went out and, worked as hard as we could to get as many of the single family homes under our belt as we could.
And how many of those houses did you lose money on?
We haven't lost money on any houses.
Yeah, that's what I expected. That's the power. That's the power of Lifestyles Unlimited. You can go on the internet and you can find all the information. You can read a bunch of books, or you can go to one place where you've got a mentor who's going to coach, guide you through that. Mentors will save you thousands of dollars. I had a mentor save me $10,000 during the freeze last year. I want you to stay with us. We're talking to Priscilla and Corbin, who now have 60 doors under their belt, 8 doors in the first 18 months. They are on their way to financial freedom. Hey, folks, I'm David Ruzicka. I'm your host. You're listening to Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. I'm talking to Corbin and Priscilla Hill, an engineer and a forensic scientist. They are buying back their time, and Priscilla has bought back a lot of her time. Instead of working 40, 45, 50 hours a week, she's down to 10 hours a week part-time, and they are on their way to financial freedom. Now, you guys bought 8 doors in 18 months. You had a total of 9 doors at one point. What was your monthly cash flow on those homes?
So the cash flow that we had just under about $4,000 a month.
So about $48,000 a year. And folks, as you're listening, that's how you buy back your time. That is money that means that's money that they don't have to earn because they're earning money. As Warren Buffett says, if you don't learn how to earn money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And so they're on their way to that. Now, you did all those houses. You had a mentor. You had Lifestyles Realtors finding homes for you. And then you decided, or maybe you decided before, you're going to go to multifamily. When was that decision made, and what was the reason for that? I know when people listen, they say, oh, single family. Okay, I think maybe I can do that. Multifamily sounds really difficult because you're going to buy a bunch of doors. Tell us about that decision.
Well, the overall goal was for us to do multifamily at some point. I just didn't realize that we could do it so quickly. So that's what Lifestyles teaches us, is that, hey, anybody can do this. Anybody can do this at the pace that we're doing it as well. So we spoke to our mentor, and our mentor gave us advice and said, why close a door on any opportunity? So why not do both? So we internally discussed with Priscilla and I, okay, we can try to do both, but then, we should probably just focus on one and then transition over to the next one. That's why we started with the single family side of things, with the ultimate goal always going into multifamily.
Okay, good job. Now, when you went to multifamily, I know you went to the road shows, you went to the acquisition road trips, and for folks that are listening, what we have every single month is we have, in the Houston area, we have what are called road shows where we'll analyze it. We meet at the office, we'll analyze the property. It's also live streamed, and then actually go to the property with the owner operator, and they'll walk us through the property, tell us about the property, what people are doing. So there's that education that you're learning while you're there. Also, we have something called an acquisition road trip, where a Lifestyles realtor will come in and present a deal, tell all about it. And what's interesting is then, because the Lifestyles realtor works for Lifestyles, he'll leave the room, he or she will leave, and then one of the mentors will get up and they will analyze the deal. And I've sat there, the Lifestyles realtor already left, and the mentor rips the deal apart and says, this is a horrible deal, you should never buy this. Or they'll say, it's a good deal, you should buy this. Now, you guys went to some acquisition road trips, and that's actually how you found your first property. Tell us about that experience. Either one of you.
We were just going because we were starting to look for our first deal, and we were saying, hey, let's go to an acquisition road trip, see what kind of deals they have. And they happened to present one to the group that was 20 units down in Galveston, and that particular property was a 3-building portfolio, 1 building with 8 units and 2 buildings with 6 units. And it happened to meet all of our criteria that we were looking for our first deal. So after, like you said, David, after the mentor decided to analyze it for us in the actual road trip, there wasn't any negative feedback from the mentor. We decided to see if we can tag it and see if we can have an opportunity to purchase it. we did. We were able to purchase it, and we acquired it February 14th of 2020, literally right before all the COVID shutdowns happened, which was an experience in itself, but it turned out to be a pretty good deal for us.
That's great. And so the mentor that helped you with that, I always like to ask this: how much of the deal did you have to give to them for them to help you out?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Part of our membership.
Yeah, it's part of your membership. The mentors get nothing out of that other than the joy of helping you. I mean, they get paid a salary by Lifestyles, but it has nothing to do with the deals done or deals not done. The other thing I wanted to ask you is your mentor. And now you guys raise money from other people. How many people did you raise money from?
12 partners.
Priscilla, 12 partners.
Yes.
And so, Priscilla, tell us, so you guys are lead investors, and one thing I always tell people is, and Del Walmsley set up the lead program to protect the passive investors, because in this case, you guys did all the work, you get paid a small override for that, and the passive investors, they don't have to come to the property, they don't even have to ever see the property if they don't want to, they just get a check sent to them every quarter, whenever the payments are. How is that lead program set up to protect the passive investors, Priscilla, from your experience of being a lead investor?
Well, we are held accountable to them. They've chosen to evaluate the deal. We present it to them, tell them our goals and our visions for it and our expectations. They choose us, and then they choose to give a portion of their hard-earned money to invest in the deal. So as leads, we are beholden to them, and every month we submit a report. We keep open communication. We let them know the progress of it so that they know that we're doing the best that we can.
So another thing that Lifestyles does is they have what's called the white paper, which is basically some guidelines that lead investors need to follow to make sure that the deals are fair, which is great because everybody works off the same rules. So the passive, when they invest with a lead investor, they know that we are all on the same page as far as what's expected.
Yeah, and we have actually kicked people leads out of Lifestyles before because they didn't follow the rules on the white paper. There are rules that follow to make sure the passives are protected. There are limits on how much a lead investor can take. And so I love that we do that because integrity is a big deal with Lifestyles, is a big deal with Del Walmsley. So you guys bought the property. Tell us about the rehab that you did going into that deal.
So this particular one, like I said, had 3 different buildings, and we did a full exterior rehab, brand new paint. We put a whole new roof on one of the buildings. We did some interior upgrades. We went through and did a water conservation program where we switched out all of the toilets to bring down the cost of the water utilities. We went through and upgraded some interior units where we focused on one property in particular as most of our interior upgrades, which was literally right next to UTMB, if you're familiar with Galveston at all.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And you were able to raise your rents, I think, pretty significantly. How much did you raise those rents?
We were lucky that we had quite a few long-term residents there, but we also know that the market was much higher than where the rents were at the time. So we did our research as far as our competition's current lease rates. And in some cases, we were able to raise our rents $500 a month because they were so low.
That is huge. Hey, stay with us through the break. We're talking to Corbin and Priscilla Hill, who are buying back their time and on their way to financial freedom.
Now, from the files of Del Walmsley.
The world needs worker bees. If the world doesn't have that, the world will fall apart. You can see what happened during the pandemic. They gave people an opportunity to make money without working. And then they couldn't understand why people wouldn't come back to work. See, we all think that work is essential. Work isn't essential. Money is essential. And if you could find a way to have money without working, a very high percentage of us wouldn't work. I think of myself as a pessimist. I look at everything from the negative side of things. I've been that way my whole life because I was born 200-pound fat kid with Coke bottle glasses and a flat top haircut and no friends. And so I had to go out and build a life for myself that I was happy with.
The Lifestyles Investor Show will be right back.
Hey, this is David Ruzicka. I am your host. You're listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We are working on your financial freedom, and we're talking to Corbin and Priscilla Hill, who gave themselves a $48,000 raise within the first 18 months of joining Lifestyles Unlimited and are in the process of buying back their time. And we were talking before the break about the first multifamily deal they did, which was 20 doors in Galveston County. And you raised the rents, in some cases, as much as $500 a month. You kept most of the residents. And tell us how the deal turned out for you, Priscilla.
The overall deal ended up being really, really good. I believe that, Corbin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe our ultimate return was about 45%.
Yeah, 45% in 18 months. That's 30% annualized that you return to your investors. That's a great return. And you sold it within 18 months, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
We did.
Yeah. And you're on your way. You are in the process of stabilizing your second property. Tell us about that. Just a brief thumbnail sketch there, Priscilla.
We are. It's 60 units in Sealy, Texas, and we are currently working on the rehab, exterior rehabs, interior rehabs, as residents have been moving out or shifting over to other units. We are going in and upgrading them. We've done a full exterior rehab with new paint and lighting and the stairwells. We've put in new ACs. We've done the water conservation program as well. We're on the final stages of that with new striping in the parking lot. And then our interior units have been, as I said, stepwise interior rehab. Some of them are going kind of a tiered rent, so to speak. So some are getting a little bit more than others, and we are seeing that there's a base for both.
Tell me about, as you've gone through this process, how you guys have developed as a team. I mean, who does what in the family business?
We figured out, especially with our single-family homes, a little bit of our strengths working as a husband and wife team. So Corbin is very numbers-related, mathematical, so he really enjoys analyzing the deal itself and getting the rehab underway, working with the contractors. And so that's his portion. I deal a lot of the resident relations, marketing, applications, speaking with the residents, helping them with application process if needed, or paying rent if needed as well.
As you've gone through this process, I know we talked earlier, Priscilla, you've gone from working 45 hours a week, I would guess, you tell me if it's more, to working 10 hours a week because of your real estate investing that's been guided by Lifestyles. Tell us what that's like.
It's a complete life change. I cannot verbalize the difference the transition that we've made, all because of Lifestyles. I was waking up at 4 o'clock every morning to get to work at 5 or 5:30, leave at 3 o'clock to get to pick up my children, and some days I would even miss that and not see them until dinner. I think I missed seeing them in the mornings for the first 2 years of their life, other than the weekends. So I went from that to taking my children to school every morning and having that family time, being able to volunteer at the church and start to be more active in their school as they're starting their school careers. So our whole family dynamic has completely changed, and I'm just so grateful that we had Lifestyles to open this door for us.
That is an amazing experience to go from where you were. I didn't realize you got up at 4 a.m. That's really early. And then to go to being able to be with your kids, to go everything. And Corbin, I know that makes you feel really good about that as well. What are your plans for the future? Corbin, why don't you go ahead and answer that?
Sure, yeah. So our plans obviously is to continue to grow our management company investing business. We want to start the family office that so many people talk about in Lifestyles. We want to get to the point where Priscilla definitely doesn't have to go back to her job anymore. We maybe at some point, I can let my corporate job go as well. So that's the ultimate goal, is that then, have more passive income coming in from investments, where we're not as much in the business anymore, but we're just basically, as everybody says, living the lifestyle.
Yeah, that's so good. And one thing that's coming up that I know is really important to you guys and important for all members of Lifestyles is what we call our Real Estate Investor Expo. Every single year we have Expo. In September of last year, it was in Irving and Dallas. Said it was about 4,000 to 5,000 people. It's the largest gathering of real estate investors, successful real estate investors in the United States. It's coming up on March 16th through 19th. And it'll be here in Houston, the George R. Brown Convention Center. One thing that happens at Expo is we have a lot of breakout sessions. And I was just kind of looking through some of the ones from last year. Estate planning for real estate investors. Rapid acquisition, how to buy 10 properties in 10 months. Top 10 lending tips for new investors. I mean, there are professionals there that will teach you so many things and really jumpstart your real estate investing. Here's one: 30 ways to increase income in multifamily. Another one, issues and continuity for manager members. I mean, everything that you need to know about real estate investing, you can find probably a breakout session at the Expo. And another thing that happens there is just a lot of networking. And so tell us about that, Priscilla, as far as your experience at Expo.
It's a wonderful experience. We've tried to make it every year, just the community and meeting like-minded people and hearing from each other's experience. It's inspirational, and it keeps you inspired to keep striving in your own path.
And what about you, Corbin?
I think it's great. Like Priscilla said, we've gone there, I think, pretty much every year since we've been members of Lifestyles, and as we've progressed, we see more and more people that we've recognized, that we've interacted with, people that have helped us along our way, meeting all kinds of new investors, new people that, all of us have the same type of goal, and it's a great experience to come out and learn, meet potential lead investors, meet passive investors, and start your real estate journey.
And folks, as you're listening, if you want to go to Expo, it's $97 for a general admission ticket. But if you will go to the Lifestyles Unlimited website, you can Google Lifestyles Unlimited or go to lifestylesunlimited.com and go to the Expo page, purchase a general admission ticket, put in my name as a promo code, and you will get a free ticket. It's DAVID, David, all caps. You put that in as the promo code, and you'll get a free ticket. And if you're a husband and wife, you want to get one for each of you, you each go in and sign up, and you can get 2 free tickets to that. We don't want anything to keep you from going to Expo, from getting there, because like I said, largest gathering in the United States of successful real estate investors. And what Corbin and Priscilla are talking about is that abundance mentality. People are there to help you. They are willing to tell all of their experiences. We have a lot of different breakout sessions. Like one of them is Super Women of Real Estate. We usually have that every year. And it'll be some different women that are very successful with their real estate investing. And they tell all about their experience and what they do. They share everything. And so that is a great, great opportunity. And folks, as I'm talking to you guys, Priscilla, tell us about legacy for you. You got a couple little kids. What are you thinking for the future?
I would love to be able to look at my children and say, if you would like to take this over, then you can, and we'll be there for you. If college is their choice, absolutely, but having something to pass down to them that could grow for them, and we're building that now, it would be great to be able to hand that off.
I mean, as rewarding as a job as being a forensic scientist, I'm sure is, it's not something you can give to your kids. As rewarding as being an engineer is, it's not something you can give to your kids. A family business that produces passive income, that gives you financial freedom, that's something that you can really give to your kids. And I want to just, in this last about 45 seconds, Priscilla, tell us, if someone's sitting out there and they're thinking, wow, that just the story that you've told of cutting down to 10 hours a week and how that's changed your life, tell us what you would say to that person.
I would say if you have any interest, to please go ahead and go. Just check it out and see what it's all about, and you'll be convinced. You're the only thing stopping you. So if you just give it a chance it will speak to you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys being with me so much. Folks, you've listened to a forensic scientist and an engineer, and we have different kind of people on the radio all the time. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom. Maybe you're a pastor. Maybe you're a stockbroker. You can do this. Go to lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com and sign up for the free workshop. We are working on your financial freedom. And remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle.
Now more intel to build a better lifestyle from Del Walmsley.
I had a complex, and the complex was based on the fact that when I went to school or I hang out in the neighborhood, kids didn't want to play with me. Now, in this day and age, fat people are loved. It's okay to be fat. You can't blame people. You can't fat shame people. But when I was a kid, you got fat shamed. And so I had a goal at that point in my life, in that chapter, to get out of that. I didn't want to be that fat kid. Even though I was smarter than everybody else, they called on other people because, I don't know, they're just prejudiced against dealing with fat people. So I didn't decide that I was going to go march in the streets and try to change the world. I looked in the mirror and said, dude, you're fat. You need to change. So I went on and got the information. And there it was. Everything I needed to know in that chapter of my life. That was a chapter of my life. Fitness was a chapter of my life.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.